Can I get a double cheeseburger with a value fry?
Will that be all for you?
Yes, thank you.
All right, 217, second window, please. Drive around. Thank you.
Gonna get a double cheeseburger with juicy meat and, oh my gosh, melty cheese. And the bun seeds bun, and then the pickles, and then the hot tasty french fries. I mean, hold on a second.
217?
I mean, what are we talking about here? I mean, we're talking fat, oily, greasy, fatty acids just building up all over your body. I mean, is that really so healthy? I mean,
83?
thank you.
Salt, pepper, ketchup?
No thank you.
All right.
Do you really want to have like a guilt trip going through this place? I mean, think about it. Like, this is like your late night food trip. You need this food. So, thank you. You too. But what if there was a way that we could make all this food more healthy? Well, we could decrease the inhibiting factors which make this food unhealthy. I think that's a great way, genetically modifying all these foods. Since the 1990s, there has been a huge increase in the introduction of GM foods on the market today. GM meaning genetically modified, of course. Genetic engineering has spread into foods such as potatoes, tomatoes, soybeans, corn, rice, even strawberries. There has been genetic engineering with animals for increased resistance to animal diseases, and that they can make a better quality of food, such as eggs and milk and meat. But as for the genetic crops that are being modified, corn, which is also called BT corn, has been genetically modified so that it has herbicidal resistance. Strawberries have been genetically modified so that they can resist frost so that we can have them all year long. Tomatoes, resistance to stress and a longer shelf life, along with potatoes have a longer shelf life too, and that they absorb less oil when they're being fried. To me, the most interesting is, well, genetically modified potatoes. I mean, look at these things. Americans consume 13,672,272 pounds, like a big number per year. That's about 28 pounds per American per year of French fries that we eat. Now I know that I probably double this because having late night trips like 1 o'clock in the morning to Burger King always gets me. But what makes these things so unhealthy? Well, basically, it's the oil that they're fried in. Today, scientists have actually been able to genetically modify these potatoes to where they do not absorb as much oil as natural potatoes when they're absorbed in the starch. So, if you look at these French fries and the starch at the molecular level, it'll look something like this. These little molecules are granular starch. They're also known as amylose. But we can call them Velcro balls, and I'll tell you why in a second. Well, scientists came along and they did a little genetic engineering, and they replaced these granular starch molecules with a more waxy form of starch known as amylopectin. The yellow part here, which represents amylopectin. This process is done by finding the gene which is for the granular bound starch synthase, GBSS, granular bound starch synthase. The key enzyme for producing this granular starch, amylose, which is what these are, is switched off by inserting the antisense copy of the GBSS gene. After this process is completed, the potato grows up, producing almost exclusively the waxy starch, amylopectin. So what does this do for me, you ask? Well, go to Burger King like at 1 o'clock in the morning. You order double cheeseburger, some value fries, and you got your drink here. And you sit down, you eat it, you enjoy it, and you kind of have that guilty trip. And 40 years later, you go to the doctor and he says, congratulations, you have high cholesterol and you're at risk for a heart attack due to clottage. Wrong. That's not what the case is here. Since we have genetically modified starch inside the potatoes, or amylopectin, the waxy starch, there's a different thing that's happening. See, when a cook takes these potatoes and he sticks them in the oil, something different is happening from the starch because it's replaced by amylopectin. Well, the oil seeps into the potato, and since we replaced it from the Velcro balls right here, the oil has no way to stick onto the waxy amylopectin, so therefore there's not as much oil absorbed in there, therefore being more healthy. So you go to Burger King 1 o'clock in the morning again, you get your burger, and then you get your hot tasty french fries, start eating them without that guilt-free trip thing, and 40 years later, congratulations, you don't have high cholesterol and you're not at risk for a heart attack. But of course, you know, you can always go home and get a risk for a heart attack due to your bad dream wife. Well, all this is good and well, but what are the ethical beliefs of it? Well, there's conflicts such as, the labeling of GM foods being mixed into natural food products or on the menu. And there's also ethical beliefs such as we don't want new diseases arriving from genetically modified crops. But if you think about it, are Americans really going to do away with 8,513,672,272 pounds of French fries per year? I don't think so. So genetically modifying these potatoes with amylopectin as a waxy starch where it doesn't absorb as much oil, I think that's the perfect idea. It's up to you though.